So welcome everyone again online as well. This is uh, after the pandemic. We are celebrating Guru Purnima, which is Guru's Day, on July 3rd. So there are sessions. We are starting with this one, which is slightly, you know, what do you? This is good.
Yeah.
Okay. So through the pandemic, I experimented with this English format, which today, I've invited the whole US chapter, and I want everyone, I think, I want everyone to volunteer, to participate, and every, the satsangs, the sessions that we do, one of the sessions we will have in English so that the next generation, which doesn't necessarily feel as comfortable in Hindi, gets to know what it is and also practice and be, quote unquote, an equal part of this. So today, so every Saturday, 10 a.m., we have been doing this session for last 3 years through the pandemic. And so this format has been, refined and redefined a few times. Now, it's like the agenda is we start with some discussion about satsang, about what's meditation, what's inner peace, how Guru Maharaj described inner peace, and so on and so forth. And then we practice because it's all about the actual experience, individual, personal experience. How do you connect with inner peace? And so starting with what are the core concepts, how Guru Maharaj simplified age-old traditional practices, took a lot of things from various different, ideologies, religious ideologies, etc. So we'll, level set that, practice it, and then we open up for interaction, questions, etc., and sharing, people's experiences as well as, what are the challenges to the practice and so on and so forth. So what I wanted to do today is introduce a few concepts that I have been talking about for last few months, a couple of years. And then we will have these Saturday sessions in sequence, one on inner peace, one on inner yoga, one on how transcendental energy flows and how it affects our inner health, and so on and so forth. So last year, September, we actually had a similar session. There were 1,000 people though, in Jaipur, in India. And I think engaging English-speaking people, engaging people who are trying to figure out what meditation is, I think this format, it was an experiment that went well. And then we tried this in Bangalore and Hyderabad and London. I think let's figure out how to take this to the next level now. So what I did was typically took a topic, put a slide or two. Today, I'll have some of those topics and some of those slides, and let's just talk through it, how that resonates. I would like to know after. So, Yuan, if you could roll it. So the first thing that the first session we did was on inner peace. And, inner peace is an interesting topic. Until and unless you really feel it, you really experience it, it is still just a word. But one thing that I started with was, what did Guru Maharaj, through his research and all his writings, which he, wrote so much about, what did he conclude about inner peace? So first and foremost, in one of his conversations with someone who was a head of a religious practice, came to meet him in Mathura, India, and that person asked him, so what do you believe in? And he was expecting to hear some ideologies or religious answer. And what Guru Maharaj said was, I believe in finding an ocean of peace. And then, he said, no, I meant something else. But then Guru Maharaj, continued to say that this finding inner peace should be the duty of every person, every human being. And that, in his view, should be the universal religion. Then he goes on to describe in his 7-volume book that peace is all inside, it is within. So let's call it inner peace. And then not only that, it's to find that inner peace, you will have to do inner pursuits like inner satsang that we will practice. So looking inwards and doing antrik satsang or inner satsang is the solution that he prescribed, which we will, later on discuss or practice. And then after writing all of that and quoting various different scriptures and, his own experiences, then he finally wrapped up by saying that there is a very easy way. The easiest way to find inner peace is to find someone who is at peace and just be with them. And literally, that's the definition. So we'll come to a slide where I define yoga and satsang. So what is satsang? Sat is, in my view, positive energy or uplifting energy, or I call it transcendental energy. So sat and sang is to be with. So to be with transcendental energy is satsang. Yoga is union with transcendental energy. So they both mean the same. Basically, the person who has imbibed this transcendental energy, being with them is also satsang. Being with them can also be yoga. So that is what he found, Guru Maharaj found with his guru, and that is what then he propagated, that there are methods to get there, or there are shorter shortcuts to get there. So just to describe this inner peace concept, Yuan, if you go to the next one, I said, okay, I talked for an hour on inner peace. And at the end, somebody asked, like, okay, so you talked about it, I practiced it, but I still don't get what inner peace is. That's interesting. So inner peace is about experiencing it inside. As you know, we can keep talking for hours. So that's why core part of Guru Maharaj's approach was, everything before the meditation is transition in, everything after is transition out, but the core of it is the practice itself, where you individually have to experience that inner peace. But still, we need to define, because everybody understands this differently. So we need to define what peace is. So I started looking for it. And then again, one of his books, there is a chapter, Mysteries of Peace. And there he describes peace as a place where there are no good or bad desires. And that is not a very intuitively obvious concept, because, how desires are connected with peace. And the thing is that when you have good or bad desires, that's when you, if that desire is satisfied, then you feel happy. If it's not, you feel unhappy. And then you keep oscillating between those states. And hence, peace is elusive. And this happens to all of us. Peace is very elusive. And so you have to figure out some real methods. And there are hundreds, maybe thousands of those. But, until and unless you learn it from someone who has really been there, done that, it's only talk. So anyway, so let's, you on the next one. Then in the same chapter, so once I, looked at the definition, actually, I think we skipped one slide, but the worry, he said in that chapter, after defining peace, he said, so what's the biggest challenge to peace? And he says, worry and anxiety. Because if you are worried, then he actually defined that worry is characterized by a continual cycle of thoughts that persist without resolution or progression, endlessly repeating in a circular motion. And what happens is that our mind is a very, very good capability that we have. But what happens is that instead of using it right, we get take our mind into some future state and then start thinking about what can go wrong or what can go this way, that way, and all those if, then, else. And then it just somehow mind also attracts the negative a lot more than positive. That's another natural thing. And what happens then is the really negative scenarios in the future just go completely, it's becomes a nonstop cycle of thoughts that, and that becomes worry and anxiety. So I'll just, pause here, because what happened was I was trying to translate this very small chapter in a big book. And what I realized was that there was like a eureka moment. So the next slide, is basically a summary. No, the previous one, Yuan, the one that you showed before this. The solution. Yeah. So basically the entire chapter had like 6 or 7 solutions, because say if peace is elusive, peace is, elimination of good or bad desires, and worry and anxiety is keeping us away from it, then what's the solution? How do we get there? How do we get to the state of inner peace? So in that chapter, 6 or 7 options were given. I took 4 of them, and they are kind of progressively more difficult. If you are getting worried or if you're not at peace, and your mind is getting stuck somewhere, find an alternate pathway. So find something that, distract your mind in the sense, do something else. Find something that is so interesting to you that you just, get more occupied in that alternate, thought process. The next solution, so the first one is kind of a temporary solution. The second one is also a bit of a temporary solution, but better than that, which is find a complete and opposite thought. So if your very negative thoughts are coming at you and consuming your, mind, what you do is take a completely opposite, which is extremely positive, for example. And this is where I think your belief system or what you rely on for strength, it comes into picture. So completely opposite and strong force, find something and then focus on that. So that is another approach. And then living in the present moment. So he then comes to like, okay, if you were, so this is where I think I had my eureka moment where it's like, I used to think about like, I need to write how meditation helps someone find peace, or how worry or anxiety can be tackled through meditation. And this is where, reading that chapter, I found this answer, which was, let's say if mind is going in the past or future, and that's what is causing all this upheaval inside, what if we could get our mind to not do that? So if you could focus on the current moment, unfortunately, most of us don't know how to do that. But if we could live in the present moment and we weren't going in the past or future, then that's where the solution would be. So then there was another. So this itself is like, okay, let's find some way to be in the current moment. Meditation is one way. But then there was another point where the whole definition of yoga, or that Maharishi Patanjali gives, which is in the next slide. You want the next one? Sorry. The next, yeah. So Yogaschit Vritti Nirodha. This is one of the key mantras or sutras in Yoga Sutra Maharishi Patanjali talks about. And this is essentially the ultimate solution to worry and anxiety. And how is that? So if mind is using the thought processes to go in the past or future, and that is causing worry and anxiety, if we did not have the thought processes, then what? So if we came to thought-free state, so instead of thoughtless, thought-free. So thought-free state is where you have achieved yoga. Why? Because there is no possibility of worry or anxiety at that point, because your mind cannot go in past or future because you're thought-free. So this was like this year, when you try to share something with others, it helps you yourself. This was one of the things like, worry and anxiety cannot exist when you are in deep meditation. And deep meditation, I'm describing, even for a very brief moment, if you are thought free, then you're worry free. So anyway, so this was one of my talks. I'll just introduce a couple more things that I have talked recently, and then next Saturday, the Saturday after, and so we'll have 3 different topics in the next few weeks. And these sessions, after the discussion, we, practice, and then we do interaction, question and answers to, because these are simple, Guru Maharaj simplified things to the core, but simple things sometimes are hard to implement or hard to understand even, Anyway, so you on the next slide. This is, you can write a book on this. So Upanishads in the ancient times talked about a 5-step process. I really love that Panchkosh. So if you were completely material, worldly person to, nirvana, where, inner peace, the ocean of peace is there. Upanishads describe these 5 steps on the pyramid, like it's like climbing the pyramid. So we'll have a session on that. But the thing was, while talking about this 5-step process, realm of the world, realm of life, realm of mind, realm of knowledge, realm of love, what I realized was that love or light, love, and peace got completely redefined for me. So light or knowledge is at the top of this pyramid, where, the third eye, the concept of third eye, and real knowledge, where your brain gets rewired to understand things better. So that's part of the target state. A love, which is unconditional love, literally like unconditional, pure, divine love, you cannot understand till your, inner state gets to that higher level. And then once you get to the top of the pyramid, that's where lasting peace is. That's where what Guru Maharaj described as peace, exists, where there are no good or bad desires. So anyway, I just wanted to say, like, this is the target state. And fortunately, we have in this satsang, I've seen multiple people at the target state. And that's what motivates me to share this further and further. Anyway, so that we'll talk about in another session. The next slide, Yuan, is about inner yoga. So that is another talk I did recently, where the Ashtanga yoga, which has 8 limbs. So people have done asanas and pranayams or physical exercises and breathing exercises, that has become very, very, very common. But what I want to talk about in the concept of this 8 limbs of yoga is that out of the 8, which Maharishi Patanjali, talked about, 4 of them are meditative practices. So imagine that, one of the masters of yoga philosophy, out of the 8, 4 limbs he describes: looking inwards, manifestation or object of concentration, which is dharana, meditation, and heart consciousness. All these are pure meditative practices. So that's, to me, that's inner yoga. Everything else is the foundational piece. So inner yoga is where Guru Maharaj focused his entire practice. So We'll have another session on that too. But let's get into the practice now. So, Yuan, if you could bring the inner yoga slide. So, inner yoga, as described by Guru Maharaj, which also refers to as Satsang, emphasizes the four limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, as we just saw. So let's talk about this a little bit because we want to practice. And this practice focuses on looking inwards, inward orientation. What do you concentrate on? We concentrate on transcendental energy. Go deep into silent meditation that we will do. And that should result in higher consciousness, right? So let me, so basically, what we will do now is close your eyes lightly, sit in a relaxed posture. So now both these things are very important. So when eyes are lightly closed, the sensory input is minimized. When you sit in a relaxed posture or a still posture, your body movement is minimized because every time your body moves, your mind moves with it. So that is one part of inward orientation. The second part then of concentration, what do you want to manifest? And there's, meditations differ in this aspect. Guru Maharaj said, take the high road, think about the transcendental energy and feel the presence, feel it here, right now, right here with us. And this transcendental energy is in form of light, is entering your heart and distributing throughout your body from there. Now, so that's what we are trying to concentrate on. That's what we're trying to manifest. This transcendental energy in form of light is in front of us. It's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we're becoming one with this light. Once you go deeper into meditation, this thought will also go away. But then sometimes you will realize that your mind has wandered away. You have to bring it back. That's also inward orientation. So when you realize your mind has wandered away, what you got to do at this point, no breathing exercises, no mantras, no chanting. All you focus on, you can do that before or after. But during this practice, so we'll start with music. So the traditional prayers we have converted into music. So we'll start with music that helps concentration. And all you will try to do is feel the presence of this transcendental energy, which is in form of light, and that light is entering our heart and distributing throughout our body. And we are becoming one with this light. And music will fade away, then we will go deeper into this meditation, and then we'll transition out with music again. So let's start now. So typically after meditation, we open up for questions, and that is the intent today as well. But typically, Eddie opens up with an overview of satsang, and I also wanted Dr. Anita to talk about benefits a little bit. So let's hear that, and then we'll hear a bit from here, and then we'll open up for questions. How's that? So Eddie.
Let's see. I'm not able to start my video.
Oh, so that's okay. We can hear you well.
Okay. All beings wish to experience joy and peace. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul, but only through the practice of satsang, and specifically inner satsang, can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. It requires no physical skills, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, sat and sang. Sat means positive energy, and sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. Meditation is an important element of satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. There are two types of satsang, inner satsang and outer satsang. An example of outer satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The satsang that you have learned today was an inner satsang where we meditated in silence. Sanjeevi?
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. And Anita ji?
Namaskar, everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we just completed a session of meditation as described by our Guru Maharaj. I will now briefly talk about some of the benefits of this practice. The topic of meditation and spirituality generally evokes a reaction in most people where they think it is about achieving some kind of lofty goal that feels unattainable almost when we start. Although most of us believe that meditation would benefit us in some way and is a good thing to do, yet many of us do not completely understand how it can positively contribute to our day-to-day lives. And therefore, we largely consider it to be an optional activity. The benefits of this meditation that we just completed are manifold and positively contribute to every aspect of our lives. And what is important to understand is some of these benefits kick in relatively quickly. This practice of sitting quietly, focusing on the thought of divine light entering our heart, internalizing it, and letting it flow through our body for 15 to 20 minutes at a time, when performed regularly, improves us in multiple ways. The primary goal of the practice propagated by our Guru Maharaj is certainly to achieve the target state that is being talked about, of achieving peace, light, and love. But if we practice it methodically for days, months, and years, we also reap the benefit of a host of byproducts of the practice, which energize our everyday life. We can classify these benefits roughly into 3 buckets: the benefits to physical and mental health, benefits related to increased focus and productivity, and then, last but not the least, benefits related to accumulating inner wisdom, which will ultimately lead us to that state of higher consciousness that Sanjeevji was talking about. Today, we'll focus more on the benefits to the body, mind, and focus and productivity. Meditation nourishes the heart and mind. Its benefits to both physical and mental health are relatively well known. Meditation can help decrease stress and anxiety and also helps with sleep disorders. Someone with anxiety may tend to worry about what might happen in the future. Meditation helps them to focus on what is happening in the present rather than thinking about the past or worrying about the future. So there have been a lot of medical studies done comparing meditation to medications, either just meditation or meditation plus medications. So mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR, like everyone makes acronyms these days. So this mindfulness-based stress reduction has been found to help either by itself or in conjunction to medication in an article quoted by, in a study quoted by NPR last year. The Cleveland Clinic website on holistic medicine states that transcendental meditation has been proven to help alleviate stress in college students and reduces blood pressure, anxiety, depression, and anger. There are 2 regions of the brain that play an important role in mental health. The first is the amygdala that regulates concentration, memory, and emotions such as fear, anger, sadness. And the other is the default mode network. This is the area of the brain that takes over when we are not actively thinking. It supplies the mind with a never-ending constant stream of thoughts. It causes us to daydream. And these thoughts are distracting thoughts that cause the mind to wander. If this area of the brain goes into overdrive, it can cause depression, anxiety, and insomnia because of all these thoughts bombarding us nonstop. Both of these areas of the brain have been proven to be quietened down by meditation, leading to benefits with anxiety, improved emotional regulation, better sleep, and increased productivity stemming from increased focus. A special mention about sleep. There is a lot of evidence that meditation improves sleep issues. I'm quoting a meta-analysis published in the New York Academy of Sciences Journal in 2018. Meditation is hypothesized to target multiple cognitive and emotional processes that contribute to poor sleep quality. It is shown to decrease ruminative thoughts, diminish emotional reactivity, and promotes an impartial reappraisal of salient experiences, which together may promote sleep. In other words, when we are trying to go to sleep, we go over the events that have happened with us throughout the day, and we emotionally react to those events. And then we think about the past, we worry about the future, and we cannot fall asleep. So if we meditate, we tone down these emotional reactions that we have, and we can go over the events of the day in a less emotional way, keeping the focus on the present. And this helps us to shut down more easily and helps us fall asleep. When we are having a stressful day or are feeling overwhelmed, stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine are released. These cause a fight or flight reaction. Our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure goes up. Meditation activates the opposite reaction. It activates our body's rest and digest functions, which counteract the fight or flight reactions by lowering the heart rate, lowering the blood pressure, and may lower the risk of heart disease. There are also some other studies that have found meditation to be helpful in other medical conditions related to inflammation. It also is found to increase immunity, and people suffering from illnesses like irritable bowel syndrome and arthritis sometimes find relief with meditation. So physical benefits like the ones I just talked about are usually the first to be experienced when we start meditating. Slowly, the practitioner starts to experience the benefits stemming from the practice of focusing our mind on one thought. The human mind is a remarkable machine with limitless capability. To harness all of its potential, though, it needs to be focused and concentrated. We all know that water lying around in puddles is not capable of doing much, but that same water, when concentrated into a stream and focused on turbines, can produce electricity. An unfocused mind accomplishes much less than what it is capable of. Focusing the mind on one thought, like we do while we are meditating, is exercise for the mind. And much like physical exercise strengthens our body, this practice of concentrating one's mind strengthens and energizes the mind. It helps us perform better in whatever worldly pursuit we are engaged in. If someone is a student, it would help them grasping concepts with ease. At work, it would help us become more efficient, more productive. In all spheres of life, generally our ability to tackle complex and difficult situations with increased focus is greatly enhanced, resulting in an overall much better life experience. Subsequently, as one continues to advance in their practice, they begin to accumulate inner knowledge, peace, and wisdom, leading to, further on higher states of consciousness, like Sanjeevji was describing. In this way, we can see how this practice offers a host of benefits, which make us healthier, more efficient, more productive, happier, and more peaceful, and also provides us a path to the land of complete peacefulness and bliss, also called the target state. The further we progress into the practice, the greater the benefits we will derive. But while it is a choice how much time and effort we wish to invest in this endeavor, we stand to gain a lot at every stage as we journey along this path. Sanjeevji.
Thank you, Anitaji. So, shall we, are there any questions? Because before I ask Raghunathji to talk a little more, online or here. So what was the question you wanted to answer? Maybe go for it. Thoda sa isko pass kar do.
The question that the question that keeps coming is that so that gives us that gives us peace, that gives us inner peace. But there is something more to that. That's the I want to do. Yes, people that's it. Guru Maharaj just didn't depend on that particular tool. The tool that he but he was talking on that exactly. I'm very much in your classes the same. Very Gimnastia, Dhyana Yogam Charagava, that he also took care of knowledge in a strong thing, not just the yoga. He has got pretty really that chapter 18, that's it.
Is that it?
That's what we want to talk about knowledge or yoga.
Yeah, so that's light.
Yes.
Yeah, the realm of knowledge. Yeah, that comes first. Actually.
So, and the other thing with the knowledge is all of us know ignorance, how ignored we are. So the knowledge is, the way he defines it is the knowledge is a destruction of ignorance.
So destruction of ignorance
Yeah.
is knowledge.
Yeah.
So we understand ignorance, but I think we need to figure out what knowledge really is.
And so and we cannot define knowledge because we don't have it. We really cannot even define knowledge. The knowledge can only be defined by total
Yeah.
destruction of ignorance. That's the complete knowledge.
Hmm.
And that's where probably the story ends.
That's deep. The Pradeep. You were like, okay,
I think everything I would have liked to say has been said.
has been said. Okay. Good, good. There ought to be at least one question somewhere.
Hello, sir.
Did I hear
Hello.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, online. Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, what is the basic difference between enlightenment and mind becoming quiet?
I'll start and then maybe Raghunathji might talk a little more. So Yuan, if you could bring the pyramid, the 5 steps to inner peace. Interestingly, Guru Maharaj has also described a thoughtless state. How do I get to that view? Yuan, are you? There it is.
I think downstairs there is like the PPT.
How do I bring it in focus? All right, okay. Yeah, so here so there are like 5 steps described in Upanishads to get to the top of the pyramid where light, love, and peace is in abundance, and let's call that enlightenment. So typically, higher consciousness, higher awareness, knowledge, as Raghunathji was just talking about, and not just, and as I think, interestingly, Raghunathji is talking about, we don't know knowledge, but we know ignorance. And so complete, absence of ignorance would be complete knowledge. But in terms of, where the 5th realm, the realm of love, where unconditional love is at the top of this pyramid, we probably don't even realize what that is, because that's such a higher state. So, but I have seen people in satsang who unconditionally loved like thousands and thousands and thousands of people as they were their own. So having this deep interconnect with nature, and one of the Maharishi Agast's ashram, they used to say that tigers and cows and birds and everyone used to live in peace together. So that's the impact of that state. So then comes like, okay, so what is thoughtlessness? So even in the realm of life, there is a samadhi called Jad Samadhi, which is thoughtless state without the higher consciousness or love, light and peace. So that would be my answer. Anything you want to?
Enlightenment,
How do you define that? How do you define enlightenment? That will be an enlightening, you know. You're right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you take it. I think.
All I would say is like, I go back to the chapter 18 that we have been discussing, right? And Dr. Anita, he also mentioned that,
Mysteries of peace.
yeah, the Hindi mein it is शांति का रहस्य और विचारधारा से उसका संबंध. So it's a secret of peace and its relationship to thought stream, right? So if you think about it, one of the bunch of things as I was listening to this were coming to my mind, which Guru Maharaj has introduced in that small chapter. One thing he said is, or two, I would say, one, that for increasing your mental strength or developing your, what Vanita ji was saying, that, you know, you have to develop that tool. This is an amazing machine, but it has to be developed to gain, make it strong like you do your physical body. So what Guru Maharaj said is that to be able to think freely and to be in the state of that is free of thoughts are two practices that are necessary to develop your whatever mind, brain, inner strength, whatever you call it, right? So being a quiet mind, a mind free of thought, is a practice, it's a tool that will eventually lead to a state which he ends the chapter with, where you have peace and all. So that is your last part is probably the end. And this is a mechanism or tool. The thought-free mind is a tool.
So does that answer the question?
That's how
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir. It answers the question. So, sir, I was feeling like the knower, while doing the meditation, when the mind becomes calm, that time the one which observes the mind is the self. I
Yeah.
think knowing the self is enlightenment. Is it
Yeah.
right, sir?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Sure thing. So Louis, you want to say something? I think online they won't be able to hear.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for first I would participation in editing. And a really, really great invitation as well. And really do think that the presence of other people and the earnestness in which they will speak affects everyone's invitation. And I probably should really one thing that we should say. I've been attending this session for maybe 2 years now.
Almost, yeah.
Virtually. And the reason why I've become is because I think it's really effective, is helping a lot. Prior to this, I had gotten into meditation maybe working really strong. And this technique, this tradition is
This tradition is actually, there's an echo.
young faces here. I don't know if you meditate. I think being in your teens and your early 20s is one of the most challenging parts of life. That is one of the most challenging phases of life because you have no idea what your future holds. Once you get to your 30s or 40s, settled, sedentary life, and you kind of know where things are going to go, even though you don't always. But especially when you're in your teens and your 20s, it's so challenging, so scary. You're going to school, trying to do well, you're trying to establish yourself in a career, and it can be very stressful, and it can bring a lot of anxiety. And so I think meditation is a wonderful input to that, and I really mean it. It's challenging, because it's hard to sit still and quiet the mind. Amazingly, that is. It is. It's hard because you have a lot of thoughts flowing through your head. What am I going to eat for dinner? What am I going to do this weekend? How am I going to get an A on the test? There's just so much distraction. And then, social media can be very helpful, but it can also be very distracting. So meditation is so wonderful. It's such a wonderful way to just clear all of that out. And all it takes, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes. You can just sit down for 5 minutes in silence. And it's going to be hard at first, but eventually you will actually be able to clear your mind. And so it feels like a treat. It's actually working chemicals in your brain. That's how powerful meditation can be. And I really mean from personal experience. My mother, she doesn't do this, right? This isn't part of her tradition. I think you're all very lucky because of this tradition from an early age. She cannot still her mind whatsoever. And I remember when she moved down here, when COVID started, she's older, she was living in this building in New York and brought her here for safety. And, we would go out on my balcony and I tried to get her to meditate. And, at first she was like, I can't do this. I can't sit still like this. But, we started with like 3 minutes or 4 minutes and she was, I really like this. I can do this. She probably couldn't do it more than that. Maybe she could if it was only practice, but she felt like it was going to help. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, to keep the audio video simple, we from the audience, it's hard to get to online. So sorry about that, online folks. So wrapping up. All right. So evening, 7 o'clock, we'll meet at my place, Oakton. Here there are some refreshments, some sandwiches and some snacks. The only thing is just make sure there is nothing that's spilled. The carpeted area, and they told me they usually don't allow food to be served. So they have given us a little bit of leeway. So let's make sure we leave it clean. Yeah. So, we heard about meditation and all the benefits and what it is and what it is not. Let's so another traditional thing is that you keep some sweets or some food while you meditate, and you know, just so we'll meditate for 2 more minutes to make sure that this food is energized with the transcendental energy we were meditating on. The reason is that, you know, when we go out from here, how long does it take to go back to square one? Sometimes very quickly. If we have become a little more advanced, it absorbs a little and lasts a little longer. So food stays in our system, so that way your meditative energy stays with you longer. So let's just meditate for 2 more minutes and make sure that once we consume this food, that's even the snacks that we have is energized with this energy that we have right now. As Liz was talking about. Let's meditate for 2 more minutes now. Okay. All right, so we'll be signing off here. I think we're approaching 11:30 now. So anything else online before we sign off from here? Any comments, thoughts, last? And thank you all for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you next Saturday. So actually, English sessions are there Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.